Chapter 2, Lesson 2 of Advanced Algebra, looking at linear functions and the three forms of linear equations. We've looked at standard form. In this video, we're going to look at point-slope form. Remember, one of the important things we want to recognize is what the formula or the form of the equation can do for us and what it can't do for us. Now, point-slope form is probably the most valuable and the most useful. In fact, most of your problems that you begin will begin by putting the equation in point-slope form first and then algebraically manipulating it into one of the other forms, standard or slope-intercept. So this is a really important form and very valuable. The name tells us what the formula can do. It can take a point, it can give us the coordinate of a point, and it can give us the slope. So this would be one of the equations that you could use if you were trying to determine slope. If it was in this form, you'd know what the slope was. The valuable thing here is you only need to know one point and the slope in order to use it. So the name tells us what we can do with it and what is useful for determining as well. This is the form y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity x minus x sub 1. And again, one of the things we need to work on or know is the value or what these different variables represent. The y1 here and the x1 here represents the x and the y coordinate of a point that's on the graph. So that's the one point that's on the line. The x coordinate would go here, the y coordinate go here. There's your point. The second thing that we need to know, or the other letter, is this lowercase m. We talked before, this lowercase m is the slope. So once you know the slope, the value of the slope would be right here. So two things, or you can go both ways. If you know one point and slope, you can put the slope here and the coordinates here, and you're in point-slope form. Or if it's in point-slope, just by looking at the equation, you can tell what the slope is. That would be right here, and you can tell what the coordinate of a single point on the line is right here, getting the x and the y coordinate from right there. So knowing those tells you where you put the values in if you're making the equation, or it tells you what the values are if you have the equation, what the slope or what the function equation can tell you. M is the slope, as we talked about, and x1 and y1 are the x and the y of a single point that's on the line. So we can use that then to write the equation. Write the equation of a line that goes through the points 1, 5, and 4, negative 1. Now what I want you to realize here is that both of these points are on a line, are on the same line. Remember, a line is just a series of points that goes on forever, and all of those points on that line satisfy a given equation. Both of these points will satisfy the equation that goes for this linear function. So either one of these points could be used in point-slope because we only need to use one. Remember our form, y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. This x and this y are the coordinates of one point that's on the line, and it can be any point that's on the line. So we can actually use either one of these points and put them in here for x and y. We do need to know the slope, however. The slope's not told us, but we do remember that we can calculate slope if we're given 2 points. Well, here we're given 2 points, so we'll calculate the slope, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Make sure you keep the x and the y's together, and then we simplify that so we have a slope of negative 2. So that negative 2 is going to go in our equation for the slope, so it's going to go right here where the m is. So that would be where our slope. Then we can put in the x and the y in for the x1 and y1. And again, both of these points are on the line, so it does not matter which one we use. So you could either have this equation here and this equation here. Now I want you to notice something right here. Notice this is y minus 5 here, and this is y plus 1 here. Why is this a plus 1? Well, I want you to take special note here. What do we see? What is this equation? It's always y minus, and then if I put a parentheses like we talked about earlier, then the y coordinate goes in here. Well, if I take the first point and I put a 5 in here, I get y minus 5. That's why this is y minus 5. However, if I take a look at the second coordinate, the y coordinate's a negative 1. And what's a y minus a negative 1? plus 1. So that's why this is a plus and this is a minus. But the equation is always a minus, so as a way to just kind of a thing to be careful of is make sure you either mentally or actually write out these parentheses so that when you're substituting in negative values you don't lose that negative sign and leave it as part of the equation, because the equation has a negative sign and then the coordinate may have a negative sign as well. Alright, so we'll stop there and we'll check out the next video and we'll talk about how to use point and slope form to graph, and then we'll do a few examples as well.